Yang berbahagia, Profesor Datuk Profesor Dr. Muhammad Faiz Abdullah, Chairman of the Institute of Strategic and International Studies, ISIS Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, saudara-saudari yang saya kasihi, salam sejahtera dan salam Malaysia Madani. As we were walking in, Prof. Faiz just reminded me of Professor Izutsu, Toshihiko Izutsu. In May this year, I was in a business trip to Japan with Prime Minister. And beyond the meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Kishida, as well as Japanese investors, PMX actually found the time and managed to squeeze in some time to deliver a lecture at Keio University. And of course, Professor Faiz was there. And the lecture was in tribute to this Japanese philosopher polymath, the late Professor Toshihiko Izutsu. And I want to encourage all of you to read up the speech. It is available online. I think it's in PMO. Of course, one of the things that I told Professor Izutsu, Professor Faiz, was that after the event, I didn't know about Izutsu before that. After the event, I read up about him, and I realized that Anno actually spoke about Izutsu way back in the 1990s. I also told Professor Faiz that recently I tried to read Izutsu's magnum opus because the Prime Minister encourages to read, and when the Prime Minister encourages you to read, you better read lah, because he may ask you, give you a test. The magnum opus, of course, he was a translator of the Quran from Arabic to Japanese, and he was a bridge between Japanese culture, thinking, civilization, and the Islamic world through his Quranic translation. But one of his big book was called Sufism and Taoism, and it is actually an analysis, a comparison between Arabi's Sufism, the Andalusian Islamic philosopher Arabi, and the 4th century Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi's view of Taoism. And today I'm going to talk about AI, because I see that one of your big topic is AI. Reading Sufism and Taoism, there's a chapter, or rather there is a section where Izutsu quoted Zhuangzi, the philosopher, 4th century BC. Famous story. It's called Zhuangzi Mengdie, Chinese meaning Zhuangzi. Zhuangzi is the person, the philosopher, dreamt of a butterfly. The story goes that the philosopher one day was dreaming of a butterfly, and then when he was awakened, he questioned, or he ruminated whether it was him, a man, dreaming of a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming of being a man. So that very simple parable becomes a very powerful reflection on the thin line between what is real and what is dream, what is the authentic, what is the artificial. And recently, in Parliament, I thought I was confronted with a Zhuangzi Mengdie moment, a moment of the blurring of the line between the authentic and the artificial. If you remember, during the debate on the amendment to the Personal Data Protection Act, tabled in Parliament, just I think last month, my very colorful colleague, Member of Parliament for Jelotong, YB Raya, surprised everyone by playing a video in Parliament of someone who looked like and sounded exactly like Anwar Ibrahim. He was promoting an investment scheme, soliciting personal data. Of course, needless to say, the person in the video it was not Anwar Ibrahim, but was an AI-generated video to look and sound like Anwar Ibrahim. And very convincing. Really, if you don't watch the video, you would have thought it was the Prime Minister speaking to us. For a limited time only, this investment scheme, right? Sound familiar? The difficulty of recognizing between the authentic and the artificial is no longer a philosophical rumination. Yeah? But rather for us in this 21st century, it is almost a daily challenge. So much so that the world has become more dangerous and uncertain. We cannot be sure anymore. I'm not sure how many of you, I just want to set the tone on AI. Yeah? I'm not sure how many of you have, I'm sure we heard of ChatGPT in this very intelligent crowd. But how many of you has ever used ChatGPT? Can I have a show of hands? Almost everyone. The boss knows who used ChatGPT. I write most of my speeches, 99% of the time. Okay? But a few months ago, I was invited to deliver a speech at an event commemorating Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the celebrated, venerated author of the Indian Constitution. So I decided maybe I should try ChatGPT and see whether it works for me. My input, or rather my prompt to ChatGPT was, write me a speech for a conference on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So the first draft written by ChatGPT was, needless to say, very rudimentary, very basic. And and I'm sure many people would not have used it, although some may use it. Right? I decided to ask ChatGPT to further improve on the first draft by rewriting the speech in Stephen Sim's voice. Well, before you judge me, I must clarify that it was a half-hearted attempt. I'm not even sure they know what is a Stephen Sim's voice. And of course, if I were to deliver a speech, I want to deliver it in my own voice. To my surprise, for ChatGPT at least, there is indeed something as Stephen Sim's voice. And of course, the next iteration is much more palatable to my linguistic taste. Then I try again. This time, I asked ChatGPT to include historical events and dates. And then another round, asking ChatGPT to rewrite it once again, to include views of prominent Indian thinkers and scholars, Amartya Sen, Arundhati Roy, etc., etc. And after about 5 to 6 iterations, Prof, the draft speech was almost very close to something that I would have written for myself. Must caveat on a not so good day. But sounded really like me, yeah? It's just like the Anwar Ibrahim video, classic, sound like me, look like me, it wasn't me. But imagine how many speech writers, document writers, analysts, or even researchers may lose our job in this sort of a scenario. Just for your information, I decided at that time not to use the speech generated by ChatGPT. But imagine, very, very soon, when technology will so catch up that I may even lose my job as my own speechwriter. Because by then, ChatGPT will probably write as good, if not better, in my own view, of my own speech. Or think about the Anwar Ibrahim's fake video I mentioned. With technologies like this, my joke with the central bank governor just a few weeks ago when I met him was, with technologies like this, the fake video which featured Anwar Ibrahim, imagine the scam workers who are making calls to us on a daily basis. They may even lose their jobs. And don't be surprised that eventually technology will know us better than ourselves. They can talk like us, look like us, act like us, and perhaps, eerily, they may even sound and feel like us. I used to wear a watch. I'm sure some of you are wearing a fitness band. The watch tracks my steps during the day, but now I'm wearing a ring, which does the same thing. 24 hours, tracks my steps, my heart rate, my sleep, my stress level, my body temperature, my breathing, but less inconspicuous than a watch, right? Aura, is that Aura? Nice. Less inconspicuous. I can wear it 24 hours. If I wear a watch, a bit kacau, my wife will say, because she slept on my left, and I wear my watch on my left, she say, hey, your watch kacau lah, and you want to give her a hug at night. Now I wear a ring. But now I'm also wearing a CGM. It's a continuous glucose monitor on my left arm. It's like a sticker. It's really like a sticker. Just stick it there. It's inconspicuous. I'm okay. Just that I'm a fitness freak, so I want to monitor and look at data regarding my body. But with this sticker, I can track my glucose level real time throughout the day. It is very interesting to see how my blood sugar rises and falls over activities like eating, fasting, working out, or just being stressed in Kesuma when I meet with Thomas, who is the CEO of Talent Corp. For me, I'm glad to see that my insulin level is working well to bring the sugar level down. For my wife, this is an empirical evidence that I'm not a very sweet person, QED. But for this contemporary writer, thinker, Yuval Harari, he said that this is the beginning of what Orwell said in 1984, a telescreen surveillance technology, if you have read 1984, right? Imagine companies can now know how your body reacts when you watch an advertisement of different products. Or worse, some authoritarian government can now detect changes in your physiological process when you hear speeches, political speeches. So what do? Do we sit here and do nothing, hoping that we won't be the unlucky ones displaced by technologies? Or we hop on the AI bandwagon, whatever the term AI means, with very little understanding and helter-skelter of a program, trying and hoping that everything will eventually make sense. I do realize that many people don't really know what we are dealing with when we talk about AI, especially politicians. Mea culpa. My first degree was in computer science many years ago, 20 over years ago. Our syllabus of AI at that time was focused on what we call the expert model system. Today we see trend towards machine learning model. So even a computer science student, just 2 decades ago, like myself, may have only a very vague idea of what today's AI is all about. The world around us is constantly changing, and the rate of change is getting faster, more slow, especially in regards to technology, by Gordon Moore, one of the founders of Intel. I want to share with you one important work that Kesuma is doing in this regards, especially in terms of dealing with changes of technology vis-a-vis our job market. It is very crucial. The first point I want to make is it is very crucial that we map out our future. We cannot depend on mere guesses and luck when it comes to making decisions on how AI, digitalization, and even the green economy will have in terms of effect on our economy and the job market. So back in March 2024, Kesuma commissioned our newly mandated think tank, Talent Corp. So they have an added responsibility now above what they have been doing, which is the think tank for Kesuma. We mandated Talent Corp to produce an impact report on the effects of AI, digitalization, and green economy on the Malaysian job market. Subsequently, 10 strategic sectors were selected to be researched. These are information, communication and technology, food manufacturing and services, pharmaceutical manufacturing, aerospace, electrical and electronics, wholesale trade and retails, chemicals, medical devices, energy and power, and global business services. One of the reasons why we selected these 10 key sectors is because they constitute some of the largest employers in the country and also comprise of a large portion of our GDP. Together, these 10 sectors will cover about 4.5 million jobs, constituting about 80% of our GDP. And to date, Talent Corp, together with their partners, have completed the study for 5 sectors. The full report for all 10 sectors is expected to be published by the end of September this year. With the support of the Central Bank, the ASEAN Institute of Chartered Bankers, together with their partners, the Islamic Banking and Finance Institute Malaysia and the Malaysian Insurance Institute, have also produced similar report on the financial sector. The Securities Commission will also be commissioning the same report on the capital market. Therefore, in total, by the end of this year, we will have a map of the impact of these new developments for 12 sectors in Malaysia, covering almost 90% of our GDP. What will the report tell us? The report will tell us what is going to happen to jobs in these sectors in the next 3 to 5 years. It will not only help players in these sectors to plan ahead, it will also allow workers currently in roles which will be impacted within the next few years to be alerted and therefore take action today to pivot to new roles or different roles. Students today can also anticipate what the job market is going to be like tomorrow and prepare themselves accordingly. And equally, if not more important, a mapping of future jobs like this will give government and policy makers the visibility of things to come so that we can draft or craft better strategies to deal with the future. Just a sneak preview, in the financial sector report, which I launched together with the governor of Central Bank last month, out of 97 financial sector roles surveyed, 16% will be highly impacted by AI revolution, meaning these roles will likely be displaced or they may converge in terms of responsibilities in the financial sectors. We are looking at roles such as customer service officer, investment advisory and execution analyst, direct sales agent, product sales officer, relationship manager, business development manager, credit and lending officer, investment operations and security services officer, etc. There are about 75% of the current roles which will be impacted in a moderate to low impact. And then there are also 9% emerging roles that we are seeing, meaning these are new roles and currently not commonly seen in the sector, but will gain more prominence in the future. What are these new emerging roles? Roles such as in the financial sector, machine learning specialist, integration architect, cloud engineer, digital transformation and adoption analyst, community partnership advisor, sustainability and employee well-being officer, etc. In the ICT sector, again a sneak preview, we are looking at 8% of current roles which will be highly impacted by AI, digitalization and the green economy. Jobs such as security operation analyst, data analyst, application support engineer, etc. 30% will be medium impacted roles such as data engineer, data center infrastructure engineer, network engineer, IT audit, cyber risk analyst, etc. Emerging skills in the IT sector or ICT sector includes emerging technologies synthesis, hard to pronounce, automation management, task planning, IT strategy, and solution architecture. Of course, when we look at the report across sector, across the board, we also realize that some of these roles which may be highly impacted in the ICT sector, may be medium or low impacted roles in the E&E and F&B sector, or they may even be an emerging role in other sectors, if you get what I mean. So maybe one role will be a sunset role in the ICT, but may found new tasks and new responsibility to them in the other sectors. The report will be data-driven and industry-driven. And for Kesuma, we can easily do this, especially via our Future Skills Talent Councils under Talent Corp, which are really sectoral expert groups consisting of current professionals in each sector. The samples that I cited above, when I received the initial report, I asked Mr. Thomas, I said, you made all this up yourself, you know? So hard to pronounce. Emerging Technology Synthesis Officer. What does it even mean? Then he said, no, we not only gone through theoretical research framework, but there's also focus group deliberations, especially with current industry leaders, current industry players, representative from MNCs, from SMEs in that sector. So they know what is going to happen within their business sector. As our country catches up on investments and growth, and we are, especially with the introduction last year of Kerangka Economy Madani, there is an aggressive and I can see a marked shift towards high value, high growth sector investment. As we catch up on all this, we need a workforce that is ready to take up challenges which comes along. What do we then do with the impact report when it comes out in September? Kesuma will set up an interactive public portal to allow businesses, students, policymakers, and anyone to reference what we call future skills framework. Basically, matrices which inform users of the evolution of jobs and roles in these 12 sectors. And then there will also be some kind of skills forecasting with periodic updates after that. Users can also take personal jobs and skills assessment and even be connected to existing and suitable skill courses and job matching services. We will also launch new skills training initiatives to allow or enable Malaysians to equip themselves in this fast-changing job environment. I personally believe this marks a new milestone in our policy making, where government, industry, academics, and even the people in general, we are pooling resources to come out with a very powerful tool to help shape decision making at every level. With the report, the portal can be utilized not only by investors, business owners, workers, existing workers or future workers, students, but also government. We are looking at continuous partnership, sharing of data with ministries such as MOHE, higher education, with MOE, Ministry of Education, etc., in order for them to have visibility of what I call a map of the job market in the future, so that when they do their policy strategy in terms of skills and education, at least we are guided by an informed roadmap. Thank you.
Thank you, YB Stephen and Datuk Faiz.